foggy colour on him. Yeah. There are only 3 drawings that I've done in my life that I'm really proud of, but I've done hundreds of others. How many do you think I've done? And of all the books, I think I've done 75 or 80. I think that drawing is a wonderful way of earning a living. I supported all my 4 children on my drawing, and my husband. Oh dear, he was quite helpless, but that was all right. It was good for me. We don't have to face the public too much. I like to be alone. That is not really one of my best. Winter is very peaceful. I love the snow. The road is sometimes quite impassable, so we were left alone. It's really a treat to me. So it says add the melted butter and let it rise at least an hour. I don't know what I do without my wood stove. It's a marvelous. I wanted to draw. I've always known what I wanted to do. And I wanted to live in Vermont. To me, that was just perfect. And here I am. But it takes patience. And I finally made up a portfolio of some of my drawings, and I walked all over New York. I visited every single publisher, and they all turned me down. And May Massey, who was the queen of children's book publishers, said, "Oh, your drawings look too much like a flower catalogue or something." And finally, Eunice Blake, the new editress, accepted Pumpkin Moonshine, and that's how I got started. Pumpkin Moonshine was my first book, and I did it for my fiancé's niece, who was a little Scotch girl, Sylvie Ann, a little book, because she seemed interested in it. This is Sylvie Ann, you see. And here she is, looking for a pumpkin. The family with whom I stayed never called them jack-o'-lanterns. They always were known as Pumpkin Moonshine. That's where the name came from. And this, you see, this is where it runs away from her and bumps into Mr. Hemmelskamp, who was a neighbor at the foot of the hill. my own mother was a very good portrait painter, particularly of hands and of men, and I grew up under her easel. Mama insisted that I learn how to draw, and I sketched constantly. She said, never draw from a photograph. You have to train your eye. And people wonder how I can draw children, but my eye being trained, I keep this image in my mind, and it's very useful. They're mostly animals and children, rabbits. I like rabbits to draw. I hear you. He would love to come out. Here's my handsome rooster, Chickahominy. He was named for a county in Virginia. I had an exhibit of my drawings in Williamsburg and saw the name. And I said, if ever I have a rooster, he's going to be called Chickahominy. And I have him. He wants to come out and bite your ankles. He's a true 18th century gentleman. He's crazy about a slim ankle. But I can't have him around because he attacks. He feels he's being left out. And these are corgis. Maggie, would you come over here? Meg. The corgis were just so drawable, and I love them. They were all personalities. I had 13 corgis at one time. She has the most acute hearing of any animal I've ever had. Because my family came originally from Wales, but they're used for herding cattle, not sheep, because they squat down if the cow kicks, and they're so little they don't get hit. But I just love them for that reason, that they came from my old family haunts years and years and years ago. My favorite book, though, is Corgyville Fair, and I enjoy doing it so much. I've done 2 or 3 corgi books, but Corgyville Fair is my masterpiece, I think. West of New Hampshire and east of Vermont, there is a village. Its name is Corgyville. It has a church, an inn, a post office, a general store, and a Civil War statue. It is inhabited by corgi, cats, rabbits, and goats. You know about cats and rabbits, but corgis and goats you may not know about. Corgis are small dogs the color of foxes. They have short legs and no tails. They are enchanted. You need only to see them by moonlight to realize this. Goats are trolls. I believe they come from Sweden, but I'm not sure. This story is about one of Corgyville's leading families, the Bigby Browns, and about the Corgyville Fair, which next to Christmas is the most exciting event of the year. Corgyville Fair was the story that I ever wrote in full. It's the longest. But then when I moved to Vermont, I always wanted to move to Vermont, and I always get what I wanted. You can do anything you really want to do. And look at the people who wanted to go to the moon, they got there. My garden, it looks very beautiful right now. You're lucky in the weather. Well, it took 30 years, and I planted all those apple trees and most of the plants, but I was your age. But I'm very fond of my peonies. Aren't they beautiful? The trouble is I forget the names of them all. This is the old-fashioned garden heliotrope valerian. You want me to go this way? And my lovely Harrison's yellow rose opened just for you. It opened only yesterday. It's very beautiful, I think. But the garden goes on, and this is a wonderful display of sweet rocket. Most people consider it a weed, but I think it's lovely. It blooms so abundantly. I have no real favorite in flowers, but I like them all jumbled together. I don't like formal gardens. But that's an unusual peony in color. You don't often see them. They use them a lot in the old Dutch paintings. Well, that's oriental poppy. But see that lavender one and the white one? They're Fraxinella, but very few people know about them. Fraxinella is another that they don't see them. But I'm very proud of those two plants. I raised them from seed. It's a very old rose of 1830. And someone gave me a plant, and I raised all these from slips I made. I feel very proud because it's hard to slip roses, at least for me. Aren't they lovely? These need deading. I'm always deadheading. It keeps them blooming. It pays to deadhead plants. But so many people think they can make a garden overnight, but that is not the case. It takes years. This garden must be 30 years old. I plant the plants in 3 different places, and the one that flourishes, I'll get more plants like that. Well, that's all I do. That you just need to know how they feel. You can tell by their looks whether they're happy or not. Well, I think it's important to, if you live in a place you don't like, I wouldn't live there. Get out of it. Oh, well, you can create your own happiness. Most people are such saddos. I think saddos is a family name for someone who's always depressed. Well, I just follow what I want to do in life. I do enjoy each moment to the fullest because I'm doing what I want. And people try to advise me to do otherwise, but I say yes, yes, and go right ahead and do as I please.
Tasha, named Doris, who had an old house, which Tasha admired very much. It was an old house, probably late 1700s, and as Tasha grew older, this looked like a good-sized house to have for a retirement home. She said, all you have to do is copy Doris's house from me and I'll be happy. What she frequently said was, if you don't try something, you're not going to get anywhere. Start, don't just sit around and say, well, I can't do something, just do it. And that's been her philosophy many times. And that's what she's done in her life. She was able to make a living as an artist. So perhaps if she had an influence on me, it was that she encouraged me to go for my dreams and goals and realize them.
They realize how lucky they are in the weather.
I know, it's nice weather.
It's just cloudy weather. What do you think?
The branches over there ought to be cut off away from the chimney into the house.
Aren't they pretty? This is quite a young one. And he doesn't like to leave mother. But aren't they lovely looking? They're quite tame, most of them. Bucket of water up usually it's in so good.
A whole bucket?
There's a, but maybe you want to. It's off the house and you pick it up. Pick it up more into that. See what I mean? So that's about it. Right, now I want to fill that black sun. He did everything without any electricity. I think you had electricity when you built this, didn't you?
Oh, we had electricity before that.
But when I first came here, he built the entire house and barn without it. I don't know how he did it. The only trouble is he made it so nice that I never want to go anywhere, and I never will.
Everything about it. She said, I love that house. The ceilings were low, the shape of the roof was good, and the style of windows, and the layout of the rooms, room design, and the old-fashioned style. After I'd built the house, then she did the decorating, the painting, and all that. That was her business. Always enthusiastic and happy. I love it, she said. Whatever you do, I just love it. I'm trying to educate myself. I'm reading the history of civilization, but I get sleepy and I don't always educate myself. Would you like to see my baby? He likes to sleep there. I was feeding my baby pigeon, who usually is inside my sweater. I have a tame rooster. I brought him up. And you can do anything with her. She takes a nap with me. She's completely tame. But she would go for this baby. So would you. Not for you. You get the quacker.
Van din donde lies a fall to find I lies and island. Van din donde lies a fall to find I lies and island. Dan din donde lies it fall to find as I've been taught and times and to feed to die.
Tasha did have this idea, and I never really knew if she was serious or not, but she believed that she had lived in a past time, and she was interested in old ways and antiques anyway, so yeah, she liked the idea of learning how people lived in the old days. So she felt that maybe she could represent an ideal situation. It was just like this. It was back to her lovely 1830s, when America was at its peak, in her opinion.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting for so long. Oh, I think afternoon tea is a must. Well, I love the beautiful china, I love the taste of the tea, and it's so nice to sit down and enjoy it and garden at the same time. What do you think about it? Look at that. That's quite a display of four-leafers. Before I bought this property, I found a seven-leaf clover. I can find four-leaf clovers all over the place. You through looking at it? I didn't want you to think I was handling the truth lightly. I hear you. It's very hot tea. What a beautiful day. Winslow's taking care of all this bottom part for me now. That tiny little Amy, Winslow's wife, cut the whole lawn. Well, I knew it needs to be weeded. That's what I want to be doing, not sitting. My, I don't envy your job. Having to be photographed while you do it. I hope it doesn't collapse in any more places.
I think it's going to collapse on either side, actually.
What?
I think it might collapse on either side. Like over there. It's
I
gonna-
know. Well, that's because those idiots didn't know how to build a stone wall. How did you ever lift that great big monster?
Well, I sort of rolled it up over.
I'm glad you're getting it done before the garden party.
That's an excellent opportunity, I would
I
say.
know. Where's Amy?
I don't know where she is. She's
Oh, she's here.
summer.
Oh, I see her.
Do you like these to go to seed, or should I cut them?
Well, you can cut them off if you want. But I never thought it would be a bright day.
I left your forget-me-nots so they would seed.
Oh, yes, don't cut those. Where's, he wanted to put the ladder amongst the ferns, and I wouldn't let him. So he did a good job.
I love them.
Aren't the peonies lovely? If you want to cut any for the house, but don't do it at this time of day.
Right, during when it's cool.
The evening or else in the early morning.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Because they will.
Right.
It's very good.
The only good thing about this weed is it's very easy to pull it up.
with them all. It's hot. How can you drink it?
I like it hot.
Can't even pick it up.
No problem.
It's not that I wear my knees out. I wear them going.
I think most of Homo sapiens like tragedy and gloom. But what a mistake when you have so short of time in this beautiful world not to enjoy it to the utmost. And I certainly do. My nice son and grandson and daughter-in-law and granddaughter-in-law take over all my responsibilities. All I have to do is to garden and draw pictures. And I'm lazy about that. But it's delightful. I find nothing wrong with old age. It's the happiest time of my life. Oh, how lovely. My word.
Then the
I
clock
would
you might
put on
want.
a party dress. I realized it was quite...
I told you it was great.
You must have gone to an awful lot of work. Yeah. How long ago? Oh, look at Chickahominy. Where did they come from?
Jen brought them down.
Oh, they're very fine.
Yeah.
But that's
Certainly wet.
it's a complete near side reversal. Well, I think you could, yes. You want 6 fingers?
Maybe I did.
Well, happy early birthday.
Yes, thank you. But the one thing I request, you don't sing that awful birthday song.
No, I don't think there's any danger in that.
Oh, thank you, Hannah.
Yes, he does.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Shoot, maybe hot.
People would say, "Oh my God, you were Ta샤튜더's grandchild. What was your childhood like?" And it was exactly like the book. It was. Birthdays were very, very special. You were the birthday person, and you got this beautiful cake. And typically, you got this wonderful gift that she made. One year, it was Daisy Brown Thrush. And I don't think my grandmother takes enough credit for it because to her, like she said, it was all fun for her. But it was amazing for us. And that's why I love coming back to my grandmother's and doing events with the family because it allows us to recreate it.
Wonderful.
There. All right. Go again.
I'm not very effective.
You're getting there. Oh, oh.
All the wishes, I guess, huh?
Oh,
Lots of wishes.
Ah,
All right.
thank you.
Now,
Do you have any funny
what I
stories to
want to
tell
know is
about?
where's my fork?
Hannah, would you like some cake and ice cream?
It's so good.
This is good cake.
It's very good, Jenny.
Thank you. These are from all of us.
Oh,
This one is a present for you
Is it?
from us.
oh look.
Oh,
Oh,
look, isn't
look.
that
How
adorable?
wonderful.
Oh, how sweet.
Isn't he a dandy? I've never
Yes.
seen a tiny one. I had one as a child, but they were never painted. 91, not everyone reaches that. I never thought I'd live that long. Oh, I'm always happy. Life is too short not to be happy with it. People don't seem to realize that. family all grew up in Boston and knew all the people there in Concord, Thoreau and Mr. Emerson and so forth. So that was interesting. Real mother, who was very beautiful and very artistic, and my father, who was an amazing man. But I never did learn to do math. But my father was very mathematically minded. He knew Einstein. They used to do sums on the wall of their barn when he lived in Princeton. And they both wonderful parents, but they didn't know anything about domestic life. And I had a Scots nanny, Mary Burnett, and so she taught me all about household. I was lucky I had two mothers, but doings of which I was much more interested in than Boston society, much to the disappointment of my mother and brother, I think. But I certainly wouldn't want to change it. I'm very grateful to fate for arranging my life as she did.
Well, we have a big surprise for you here.
Oh, what is it?
What do you think?
I can't imagine. It looks like something floral, is it?
Here.
Oh, they came.
Right.
When did they come?
Just today.
Oh, thank goodness. These dolls are a part of me, and they said they were mailing them, and I was so afraid they'd be lost. This is Emma.
Here's Thaddeus.
Well, I think most male dolls look very sissified, so I made Thaddeus, I thought, looking quite masculine, and I was quite taken with his face. I think he's quite good looking. She has a marvelous wardrobe. I love to sew, but her little shoes come off. But they're real little slippers. I think this one must have been tied on. But I've never gotten over the pleasure of playing with dolls.
Being an artist, as you might expect, she had a tremendous gift for photographing dolls. She did that when she was in her 30s and her 40s. She'd spend hours setting up the dolls, outdoors, indoors, and taking photographs of them. We probably have 200 or 300 photographs. She set up dolls in the most amazingly lifelike poses. They look just like people in the photographs.
We had a very elaborate doll wedding. We sent out invitations and made a cake. A lot of people attended, and it was quite an event.
According to her story, I certainly talked with her a lot and heard about this, she discovered that playing with dolls allowed her to escape into a whole new fantasy world. She could make up any kind of situation she wanted for her dolls. So Tasha had kind of a lonely childhood. Her brother was 7 years older, and he didn't play much with her as a playmate. And her parents were usually pretty busy. So Tasha was alone a lot by herself, and she discovered and make up stories, imagine things. That was probably very good for her development later on in her book work. So dolls were very important for Tasha, and probably quite good helping her development in being able to illustrate things she saw in her mind.
The only reason I was born was that my mother and father had a houseboat, and my father was wild about sailing. And they were on the houseboat with my two brothers, Edward and Frederick, and apparently Edward fell overboard and was drowned, and Frederick was inconsolable. And Mama had been in a trolley car accident, and it had affected her eyesight, and she wanted to have another baby. You think with a loss like that, it would draw a family together, but it didn't. But I was 9 years older. When my mother and father got divorced, my mother wanted to move to New York. She thought she could do better with her painting. I won't go to New York. I was more interested in farming than being a proper Bostonian. And I was sent to live with the nicest family in Reading, Connecticut, people that I lived with, and they absolutely changed my life. They were wonderful. Their daughter Rosalind, who was named after my mother, was 4 years older than I at the time, and she read every single Shakespeare. I had the little set in a little separate red volume. She read them all out loud to me, which I think was quite astonishing. And I've always cherished that. But it changed my entire life for the better. But I have had a wonderful life, and I have no regrets about anything.
Tasha definitely loved books, like playing with the dolls. They take people out of the ordinary life into a different worlds, different places. Some of the greatest writers, learning about their lives, hearing what they had to say, surely. Books, you can learn a lot from books.
But this is a good one. We live as we dream, alone. The little girl with the tree. And it says there are few hours in a life more agreeable than the hour dedicated to the ceremony known as afternoon tea. And that was by Henry James in the Portrait of a Lady. I never liked Mr. James's writing. He had paragraphs miles long, but he was a favorite of a good friend of mine. But there's a tea set that's up on. That's a nice one. There is no season such delight can bring as summer, autumn, winter, and the spring. But it's hard to think that that tiny little boy And this is Winslow, is my wonderful grandson. Well, I live by the one that Mr. Thoreau wrote. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life that he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. That's my favorite quotation, and it's from Walden by Henry D. Thoreau. I think that's a marvelous quotation, and it sums up just what I feel. I've always known what I wanted to do, and I've always gotten what I wanted, but it takes patience. Patience is the key to most things. It took me all my life to be patient. But it's hard to be patient at times, but it pays.
Everyone wanted to make me like themselves, and I refused. They wanted me to cut my hair and do this and do that, and I never did. And I always dressed differently.
I don't know why, if you're lucky enough to be a woman, anyone wants to be a man. I just don't understand it. I made all my own clothes, and I dress differently because I like it. And I'm a great admirer of the Amish people. I just like the way they made so many things for themselves and didn't sit around getting fat. Now, Maggie. Maggie, what are you doing in there? But I've had a fork and a shovel since I was 16. I'm very fond of them. I don't let any of the boys borrow them.
I always wanted to farm, and it runs in the family because my Uncle Rico had a wonderful farm down on the Cape. And I wanted to get a Guernsey cow because that's what Uncle Rico had. So I sent him the money, but he returned the money and sent me the cow as a present. And it was like a fairy tale. When I was about in my early teens, when I lived in Redding, Connecticut, and I decided I'd have a cow, which I did. I was so proud. She was a huge cow. That was the start to farm.
I was the despair of my poor mother because I was brought up in Cold Ross, Boston. But I did as I was told. I came out. I didn't have a coming out party, but I attended the others with great boredom. I didn't like things like that. I always wanted to farm. And I've milked a cow most of my life. children, all born within the 1940s. I mean, I learned to draw. I did most of my early books with a baby on my lap. How old was Ethna when we got electricity?
Well, you're thinking of New Hampshire.
What?
We used to live in New Hampshire. We moved there in 1945, and I think we were about 5 years before we got electricity there. And so she was doing a lot of pumping water. And
At once on a yoke, that makes it easier. Carry 2 full buckets of water, and we had 3 Jersey cows, and my husband couldn't have been a sweeter person, but he liked to be waited on by all his family. So I drew and milked cows, 3 cows every morning and every night. I'm an expert milker. I've milked since I was 16. But it took time, especially, and he needed the cream, so every morning I had the cream separator is you have to turn the handle. It sounds like an airplane taking off.
but she claims that it wasn't work, it was just fun. I said, why did you do all those things? She said, oh, it's just fun. She might have been perfectly happy taking care of children and animals, cows, many pets, chickens, geese, ducks, cooking, cleaning, sewing, reading, gardening, drawing. And she did it quite fast sometimes. She could do artwork extremely quickly. But she did things by hand, which took a lot of time, but she enjoyed doing it. Busy from morning to evening. And even after the children went to bed, she still worked on things while we were asleep.
We call a tour de state every morning in my nightgown, and I always like to walk around and see what's happening. It's very satisfying. Well, as someone who loves the earth and growing and planting things, it's very satisfying to see a little peony root come up into be a big plant and bloom for you. I don't know how else to express it, but I just have always liked it. I don't guarantee he won't be rude to you, but here he is. He's not he's molting and he's lost his tail except for one scraggly feather. But isn't he a handsome boy? He's a Belgian bantam. You see, he has a rose comb. Now you behave yourself. It's right down here I was going to weed there. Today, you get sun. The weeds are really bad this year. Well, I'm getting older, that's probably the reason. They seem more vicious. I've always loved gardening, but I have found this, the whole thing, I mean, weeding is the chief job. You never can weed enough. I have a New England conscience. Have you ever heard of that? Well, it just drives you. All the New Englanders, that's why they settle the country so effectively. It just pleases me, and I believe that life is too short not to enjoy it, and I enjoy gardening, that's all there is to it. Well, it's just a beautiful garden. Look at the stars at night. How would you describe them? You should see them over when the daisies were in bloom in the field that you drove It was white with them. And the lightning bugs were shining above them in large quantity. And you look from the white daisies to the lightning bugs, which were really startlingly fine, and then the stars up above. Now, this is a field of wildflowers. It's not hard to do, but it takes time. Oh, well, you sew them the way, I have a winnowing basket. You wear it round your neck and you just go and sew them out. It's very interesting to see it done. It's a very nice action. But these asters have lost the flower. They're a nice color, aren't they? The garden really is asleep, getting ready for the long, cold winter. Mark Twain said that the New England winter is 2 months of summer and 10 months of bad sledding. Well, I always appreciated the seasons. I wouldn't live anywhere else but in Vermont. I would dislike living in a place that had no change of season. I like all the seasons. Everything is a change. Because a lot of people say, what do you believe in? And I say, I'm a Stillwater. That was sort of a belief we invented, a very peaceful name. The perfection of small animals is very appealing to me. And they have a very small share of my private heaven that I have. But they're very content. It seems to me that human beings have the biggest hunk of good luck with things that they do. And yet they're always crying for more. People don't appreciate life enough. They don't think that's nice, and I don't either.
Put the apples in here. I will crank and this one doesn't.
One that you...
find actually that when I'm working on these, you see this is where the apples are going in. I sort of try to push the stick in that way.
Oh.
Instead of like this. Try putting it like.
You want me to turn?
Yeah, do you want to try to do some turning?
Oh, look. There she comes.
Yeah.
You're going to love it. It's delicious.
Good.
Good work.
I want to get a couple of buckets of black gold. Don't you dig in there, Annie. Oh, she's trying to take the sticks off the fence.
This is pretty good stuff.
Awfully good stuff. But the stuff that you brought me is just beginning to prickle. Is he taking more down?
No, this is something I thought.
Oh.
What did I say?
It's a little warm to be making candles. It's
Yeah.
better on a colder day.
Good.
What do you think he
I'm
hears?
just gonna call.
Okay, maybe Marcy with her dogs. Here or down below?
Right here.
It's wonderful having a straightener. These or
You can take these two if you're ready. Right where Amy's elbow is.
Amy's going to get them,
Yeah.
so I'll take them. I like a time to keep. That's a nice one. I love the holidays. We always celebrate Easter. We always have a Easter egg tree. Well, it's lots of fun. I mean, fixing things up, because I enjoy making things. So, and we did great holiday celebrations.
As far as food that's really good for us is concerned, you made our Thanksgiving dinners were one of my favorite type of dinners.
Alright, tell me when.
Now pour it on. That's not good, honey. Time. You can pour
All of it? Is it done yet?
I think it might be. But this one cooked in 3. It was a small chicken. A very small one.
She's a good dog.
Pretty or perhaps you would have had that squirrel in a minute.
Is it something that you can do really quickly?
No. Things were much slower. Just as travelling from here to Brattleboro in the 1840s would take all day with a horse. And this completely different time element. Well, it's a truly roasted piece of meat. It's not boiled, it's not baked. And I've seen people cook their turkey in a paper bag in an oven. Poor Tom was horrified when he saw it. We put him in backwards there, didn't we? I did. There.
Here, I can take this for you. Here we go. Wait for the other knife.
That knife's better, isn't it?
Much better.
This is nicely cooked. Well, he was a small bird, but oh, his hide was, you think he was an old cock. Maybe he's interested in the Pope's nose.
What is the Pope's nose?
That's what we always called it in our family. Oh, he looks fine. Don't you want to taste?
It's good.
It tastes good, doesn't it?
When was the first time you cooked a chicken like this?
I remember it being cooked when I was around 5 in Reading. But I think they make them exceptionally good, and the skin is always good. You know, you can also bake potatoes in the ashes, in the hot ashes. They're very good. They take not too long. So I'm busy in the fall planting bulbs. I'm putting some bulb food on in the bottom of the hole for the bulb, and also using some for my bleeding heart plants. It's very wonderful stuff. Usually about the 12th of October, we get a frost the first week in October as a rule. We call the Weather Bureau the Possibility Bureau because they're almost never correct. But I can see why they wouldn't be. They're so far off in making their announcements. But I just hope it's a good winter with lots of snow for the plants. Well, it's a busy time to put the plants up for the winter. I plant hundreds of them, and it really is worth the work to see the beauty of it. It's awful if you get a frost in the middle, because the tulips will tip their heads down if you get a frost. Anything that comes up and blooms is worth waiting for. People are much too impatient nowadays. I think patience is the one thing that one needs to be well versed in when you garden. Because you plant a lovely plant of lilies and the voles come underneath and eat the bulb, or the chipmunks run up and bite the buds off. You have to be very philosophic, I think.
part of you. I mean, you just don't go out and buy anything in the store. But if you make something, it shows that you really like the person for whom you made it. But it was always exciting to make presents. Here is an example of an advent calendar, and you open, each door is numbered, and my 4 children all took turns each day opening a new door, and then when you open the last big door, it's time for Christmas. But they're lots of fun to make. But you see, each door has a number for the day of December, and it's quite an event when the Advent calendar starts.
Il est nello divin enfant, jouer au bois, résonner musette. Il est nello divin enfant, chantons tous en événement. Depuis plus de 50 000 ans, nous le promettons les prophètes. Depuis plus de 50 000 ans, nous entendons cet heureux temps. Il est né le divin enfant, jouer au bois, résonner musette. Il est né le divin enfant, chantons tous en événement. Depuis plus de 50 000 ans, nous le promettent les prophètes. Depuis plus de 50 000 ans, nous entendons cet heureux temps. Il est né le divin enfant, jouer au bois, résonner musette. Il est né le divin enfant, chantons tous en événement.
Because so many people were interested in it at the beginning. It did fall into different sections, and some are more for older people and some are for children. It's really a family. She liked to share her pleasure. She loved making gifts and surprises, and still had a sort of a childlike sense of joy. Cooking and her sewing and her just all of the things that the family could do together. She found that was very rewarding, and she showed that it was not only rewarding, but it was fun. Marionette scene every year. Children from all over the neighborhood would come and watch and they were very good. There was an orchestra before the scene itself, and it was so funny. The conductor was a cat, but marionette. There was one who could play the violin. It was wonderful. In time of danger or war or anything like that, I think you value family stability and just tradition. all of the things that really Tasha stood for also. So it was, I think, perhaps especially appreciated in those times. Everyone loved seeing a tradition that continued and in a time that was very upset. So I think that did add to its appeal. So it's not just a life of pleasure. It's finding pleasure in what you have before you. And I think this is her message, and I think it's still an important message.
What is going on, she said. What is it? When I trimmed the tree, we had it in the best parlor there, and it took up almost the whole room. But it was very handsome. Gingerbreads, that was one thing the children always helped in. Well, it wasn't very good, but the wild birds and the hens loved it. If you soaked it in hot water, it was very stiff. But it had to be cut out and hung on the tree. But the receipt for it is in my cookbook. I don't think she meddled with that too much. But the children loved frosting them and hanging them up.
The circles are in that one.
Yeah. How nice and cozy. Oh, look at the tree.
How is it? How did we
What a
do?
wonderful job you did.
Yeah?
I think that boulder is a superb one.
You can see all of the ones that little Hannah did.
Oh, good. That's a little bird. But I think you did a wonderful
Well,
job.
thank you. We tried.
Who did these?
Did you do it, Amy? The boulder?
Jennifer.
Oh, he's a masterpiece.
All right.
He's really a raven. He's a tall raven.
Yeah.
There.
How
Oh,
they
he
look?
looks splendid.
You look good?
Jen and I are the same height, and we can't reach to the top.
No.
So we had to get reinforcements with Winslow.
The tall is always represented by a raven. He's really meant to be a raven. Oh, that was sort of a belief we invented. It makes a good story anyway, whether it's true or not.
When did you start putting the ravens on the tree?
Well, 30 or 40 years ago. Well, it's a nice event, don't you think? I just enjoy Christmas, and I want my children to remember a tree like the ones we have at home. I never think about peace. When they invented human beings, I think they made a big mistake in most cases, not in all. And I think nature's trying to make up for it by having nice holiday. I don't know, I may be wrong. Well, I would hope that you'd have a wonderful Christmas, and it can be wonderful, but I think it's a very private family affair.
Is that good,
That tea just hits the spot.
Isn't it just a sight to see? They love the soil. I'm very careful as to what the pH is, and it makes a big difference whether they like lime or acid. But I'm very proud of them. I think every spring is a miracle. It's hard to believe that all these green leaves will be bare branches in a few months. And it's very nice. It dies down and springs anew every spring. And so my garden just grows. I don't plan it in any way. If I had my own way, I'd let it go back to nature, because it's too much for a 90-year-old. I just take care of the top terraces. But it grows up amazingly fast. You leave a garden for a year and you wouldn't recognize it. It grows so quickly into weeds. I usually stoop down to do this, but now I'm so ancient I can't get up too readily. So I have to lean over. I never had help in the garden the way I have had this year. But they keep it much tidier than I used to. It's wonderful.
I don't want you going down that step by yourself, all right?
I can.
Well, I wouldn't be here at fault with the camera. So what they want you to do is just look at plants,
was looking for Kate, I thought we could walk down to the pond and see how the pond lilies were doing. I don't know where she is. Did you all meet Kate, the super weeder? I've been ready since 2:30 I got up.
Yeah, I didn't hear you.
But there's no one can weed like Kate. You don't mind? That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from. I had nothing but that lovely pale one in there, but this one's taking over.
The deep purple one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is great. Yeah.
Yes, the primroses, there are a lot of primroses in that little opening down beyond.
Have you been through there?
What?
Have you been through there yet since it's been
No,
cut
I
down?
haven't.
We could try it.
Thank you. I'm nothing on the pond.
Oh, there you go.
There.
Well, that was an adventure. Because it really gets kind of mossy down there. We always talked about nature. What birds were chirping, what flowers were blooming. It mainly is how incredible the natural world is. It's a way that I feel also, but she kind of emanated this love of nature and to try to be as close to nature as possible. And things that have to do with the natural world. For instance, everything that she did, what she ate, what she wore, in just my daily living, what I do in my life affects my surroundings, my natural surroundings, and to be really aware of that, be really careful. She loved the natural world and she wanted to protect it.
Coming through the garden and looking at the plants that just came up, the beauty that is all around us. I remember my grandmother always being astonished at the different colors of the different shades of green. There's not just one shade of green. There's many, many shades of green. This morning, actually, they were saying, oh, you know, time's been going by quickly, and when you get to a certain age, then you really see it going by quickly. That she has expressed to me, I think, really enjoy the present, each moment that the day brings, and just to look and see and to feel and really live.
And one thing that I learned in the past year was how determined she is. Seeing her, she's 91, and she'll still do things that are physically difficult for her, and she still pushes her boundaries, and she still just she doesn't give up. The things of her personal philosophy that I would like to maintain in choices. Choosing to do the thing that's maybe not easy within your time frame, within your day, within your experience, and pursuing it anyway. You know, that would be someone who's in a job they don't like, or who wants to be creative and doesn't have any room for it in their lives, where they need and should make the room for it, because that's what they'll remember and that's what they'll enjoy about living.
Spent a lot of time in this room, unfortunately. A very beautiful room. It has windows on the east, on the south, and on the west. So she could look out and see the sun and the moon and the stars, and she could look out and see her garden. So she was really surrounded by plants. That made her very happy. And sometimes I'd ask her, you wouldn't do anything differently if you were living life over again, would you?
No, I wouldn't. I have no complaint.
It's a good thing to be able to say when you're 90 years old, you wouldn't do anything different.
Oh, yes. I've never been happier. That's the only trouble with getting old. You forget much too easily. Otherwise, it's absolutely heaven. You see that I'm smiling about Stillwater. She tried to be peaceful, and she needed some time to herself. She tried to look forward and move forward. Stillwater was just an invention of Tasha. It was not serious. It was not a religion. Tasha lived that kind of philosophy. Take joy whenever and however you can find joy, and you can create it for yourself. All the things she did made her happy. So she had no regrets about life.
I think people are in too much of a hurry nowadays. They miss a lot. And so many people say, oh, well, tell us what's your secret. We want to be just like you. And I said, well, just be yourself, and that's it. It comes from within. I'm happiest looking. Well, there's so many things I like. So nice to sit down and enjoy it. And flowers, water lilies, sunsets, clouds, everything. In nature, I revere. I mean, life is so short. Why not enjoy it? Is it not?